Welcome to Juvo Hub, your helping hand in property management education. We are so thankful that you have joined us, and please remember to follow and like us on your favorite social media outlet, which you can find in our show notes. Now let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Juvo Hub podcast, your helping hand in property management education. And I'm your host, Jonathan Sarr, and today I am joined by the Stephanie A-List. Stole that from our buddy there, Oehler, founder of Savvy Leading. So,
Yes.
Stephanie, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much, Jonathan. I am wonderful. Things are great. I am enjoying Phoenix weather in the winter time. Can't complain.
I bet you are. Yeah. So what's the temperature there right now at the time of this recording? 127 degrees, or is it a little lower?
Easily 127. No, 75 degrees today.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Yeah, last time I was in Arizona, I think it felt like it was 127 degrees. That's the memory that's imprinted in my mind. But, you know, you're an industry trainer. We appreciate all that you do for our industry. Education is so important. And so today we're talking about modern tactics for leasing like a pro. So we appreciate the nuggets that you're going to give us today, because we know you've got these amazing classes that you teach and you help our industry. You're helping the next generation of leasing professionals that are coming into this industry that both you and I love so very much. So we're grateful to have you and just pick your brain for a few minutes for this episode today. So
happy to do it.
Yeah. So let's start off with this question. How does modern sales training for leasing professionals differ from traditional leasing 101? And what are the key components of this updated approach to leasing?
Man, Jonathan, why don't you start off with like the big questions?
Yeah, that's my little one.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good one, because you probably hear, because you're very dialed in to the industry, you hear people all the time talking about, oh, we just need to go back to basics. We need at leasing 101 in order to meet our occupancy goals. But the basics do live on, right? Like, you do need the basics of answering the phone, and every email lead needs to be answered, and you need to stand and greet, and you need to set appointments. Like, those basics live on. Like, we're not getting away from those. But that's not what is going to actually help in this competitive landscape that we have in leasing right now. You need to move to kind of a sales training model, sales training methodology in order to achieve those occupancy goals. As you are well aware, underwriting is very aggressive. You know, properties are underwritten at very high occupancy numbers. And so the goals then are aggressive. And in order to operate successfully, you do have to, put that sales methodology hat on. So the model of sales training versus, say, a basics is incorporating the fundamental sales concepts behind the why. Like, why do we answer the phone every time? Not just answer the phone every time, but why, right? What do these sales actions do? What is the value? What is the outcome from those sales actions? And then the other sort of like soft sales skills, like relationship building, consultative selling, negotiations, those other types of sales techniques that aren't part of a leasing 101, basic 101 type program. Selling value over price. There's markets that have 3 months concessions. That's not competitive. That's not sustainable. And that's relying on just your basic 101 to try to get you through, when you could elevate and turn your leasing folks into sales folks and actually have them out there doing that job. The other thing is, if you look at leasing job descriptions, they typically won't use the word sales. We put a real kind of customer service spin on the leasing job, And I don't think we're setting proper expectations, and we're definitely not properly training beyond the how and getting into the why with the sales training approach.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, I guess that was a deep question. Yeah, like because there's
I get a little passionate about it.
yeah, no, and that's why I wanted you on the show. I wanted to hear, I want our audience to hear you, what you do, and and uh, not water down the importance of what that role is, or what's involved in understanding the role, and to what level it can go. So that was
Yep.
fantastic. So I'm the new leasing person. I don't know anything about my customer. I don't know anything about my
Okay.
prospect. How why do I need to know that? What does that look like? Understanding our prospect, their journey, how does that help me as the new leasing professional? What's your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, it's a key component of a robust, kind of fundamental sales training program, right? Is understanding that prospect, the prospect journey, understanding how they get to you, right? Like, how did that prospect even walk in your door or make your phone ring? Understanding how they make decisions, right? Like, all of that is critical to sales success in a traditional sales methodology. And if we're moving leasing to a traditional sales methodology, which I've been talking about for a while now and working on for a while now, we want to have that understanding of that prospect journey. You can keep up with podcasts, right? Awesome podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Follow thought leaders on LinkedIn, attend conferences and events and all of those things to actually start getting the data behind what the prospects are doing and how they're making decisions these days. But then don't keep it siloed, right? Like, maybe I'm in operations and I learned something really neat, but then I don't communicate that throughout my organization.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that, like, whatever we are learning, we find a way to make sure we're updating the training materials accordingly and weaving that into that sales process for the leasing agents. And that's part of understanding the why, right? It's like the why certain actions that we're asking them to take becomes the outcomes that we desire.
Mm-hmm.
Understand the prospect journey is understanding the why. So, for example, we're going to drop some stats. I did some research for you before I came on, Jonathan.
Sweet.
So the prospect journey, as recently as last year's AIM conference, showed a 32 days from search to decision. Okay,
Yep.
so 32 days from search to decision. 22 days of that was research. And then the prospect reached out to 12 to 15 via some sort of e-lead, email type
Mm-hmm.
scenario, called 6 to 8 for clarification, and visited 2 to 4. Now, as a leasing agent or salesperson, if I know that 37% of email leads go unanswered, which was a recent stat, and the prospect is emailing 12 to 15 on their journey, I am now understanding more about the why of just responding to the
Yes.
emails,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, well, telling me to answer the emails is kind of a leasing 101 type training task. The why is where understanding that prospect journey and those numbers kind of comes in. And that's part of raising you up and elevating you to a sales organization or sales training methodology. So that's part of that prospect journey understanding and getting that communicated from the top down so that everybody's on the same page with understanding it as well.
I love it. I love it. And I want to dive deeper into some of these touch points just right after a quick commercial break. Let's come back to this. And I want to talk more about just the importance of that experience. So let's just jump to a commercial. We'll come right back.
Sounds good.
How important is customer service? It's the lifeblood of any business, even property management. Customer service training can keep your business healthy. Juvo Hub is happy to announce its new online course, Customer Service Fundamentals. Learn more about this course at juvohub.com, your helping hand in property management education.
So, you know, I get geeked out over this stuff, Stephanie. I seriously do, because to me, it's like, it's impossible to be able to be able to do sell anything without some sort of a background to it. Otherwise, you just sound like a telemarketer who's just got this script, a scripted
Yep.
approach to, hello, my name is Jonathan, and I would like to talk to you about my 2-bedroom apartment that I have available today. And it
Yes.
sounds just a machine. So I know our audience is resonating with this,
Yep.
and it's fascinating to me that an organization would make sure that their leasing professional knows what are they up against, like what are they going to have to
Right.
deal with. So now, what do they do with it? So let's take the data that you shared. So
Mhm.
property management company ABC, we want to tell you 37% of our emails haven't been answered. 37%
Yep.
of our phone calls are they're not returned, so on and so forth. What do they do with this information? We're giving them the customer journey. Here's what it looks like for the
Mhm.
majority. How does that help a leasing professional?
Yeah. Well, you the fundamentals of sales, right, is you know your product
Mm-hmm.
and you know your prospect.
Okay.
And knowing what they're going through and what's happening before they get to you is just as important as learning about them when they're in front of you, right? As part of that relationship building, value over price, those negotiation, all those fundamentals we talked about earlier. Again, it's connecting the dots for the sales professional or for the leasing agent between their actions and the desired outcome. It's truly that simple. Understanding that prospect journey, knowing those numbers, knowing those stats, and then what I can do to improve my outcomes based on knowing those. It's math.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if 37% of emails go unanswered and I email 100% of the time, I'm going to capture and move my prospect through the process better than my competitors, better than my fellow leasing agents,
Yeah.
right? It's that mathematical piece of it, if we're going to geek out. And sales math can be really fun because now I know if I want to improve on this side of the equation, the end of the equation, the outcome, I just have to tweak some of the numbers in the middle. Answer more calls, make sure that I'm answering all those emails. And it's not just the mere fact of answering, not just the mere fact of answering the leads. It's also kind of what you put into the information as well. And that goes back to your product knowledge. And again, sales driven communication and training, personalization, customization, consistency, and creativity, throwing those
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah. I could just imagine you doing the deep dive on those last few things. It's like no cookie cutter,
Oh, yeah.
no cookie
No.
cutter template email response or phone call response or anything like that. No, it's what, and not being worried about the odds. Like the odds are good. The odds are good. You will continue to
Yeah.
improve the more that you answer those phones, the more that you answer those emails. And that's fascinating. I love it. Love it.
So
So
you mentioned the templates. Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah,
I
no,
was
no.
gonna
Go ahead.
follow through on
I want
this.
to hear it.
Okay. So you mentioned the templates, and I think I actually can predict what you were gonna ask me next.
Okay.
Was probably about like automation and templates and that piece of it, right? So I asked a question to 150 leasing pros in a big class. Okay. I asked them to raise their hand if they responded to email leads right away. And like almost all of them raised their hand.
Hmm.
And then I said, okay, well, keep your hand up, but take your hand down if you were counting your auto response as an immediate response. And almost every hand went down because they were counting the autoresponder as their response. They're like, oh, yeah, we respond to every email because there's an auto
Wow.
response. And then it's like, okay, and then I would have said, and put your hand down if you used a template without any personalization or customization. And I know they would have all taken their hand down because there's a little bit of an over reliance on the technology that we've deployed to do the job of sales.
Hmm.
But we have to be prescriptive with our leasing agents as part of our sales training and tell them exactly where to insert themselves into the process, where to personalize or customize, where to do those things. Or they're just going to default to the automation. So automation is amazing and technology is fantastic. There's so many ways that we can use it. I mean, we're on a podcast right now where, you're wherever you are. Where are you, Jonathan?
Atlanta.
Atlanta, and I'm in Phoenix, and we're having this great coffee chat, right?
Yep.
Technology is fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't over rely on technology. But it's not the leasing agent's responsibility to know. We, as sales trainers, we in our organizations as leaders have to, again, give them the proper guidance, because otherwise they do think, okay, well, I did that. It responded. I used my template. Yes, they may have already set an appointment and I sent them an email that asks them to set an appointment, but that was the next thing in my cadence. Give them the guidance to kind of step outside of the templated world and personalize it a little bit, but tell them where to do it and how to do it. And then, of course, my favorite thing, the why. Why do it? Why personalize? Why customize? What impact does it have on the outcome?
Yeah.
We train people the hows all the time and not the whys. And that disconnects them from the results. And it disconnects them from the value of the training. So
Yeah.
just thought I'd share that.
No. I know our audience is eating this up, because it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to personalize, because I can't imagine that any one email comes in has any similarity to the previous one. Every prospect has their own unique needs, their own unique questions, things that matter to them. There's no template that's going to cover all of that. So by taking that extra minute and like you mentioned, look for ways to personalize that response, they're going to notice it. It's going to make a big difference, for in that experience
absolutely.
overall.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's get out of our desk for a minute. I love this
Okay.
segue in the conversation, because it has its challenges, like the technology and the disconnect between people. So we know there's a unique set of training that our leasing professionals need, that you provide to help, visualize that person that's on the other side of that email that they're sending to you, or phone call. So here we are, we're in the office. Why is it so important to get up, talk to people, know your property, know your area, know all that stuff? How does that help?
Yeah. All right. So if I'm having a cranky day and I am just not feeling it for whatever reason, if I look around, I'll lay you odds, it's because I've been sitting at my desk all day. I haven't gotten up from my desk. I've been sitting at my desk all day. And that's the root cause of my crankiness, is I didn't get up, I didn't move around. And I challenge everyone out there listening, and Jonathan, you too, when you start to feel that energy suck, when you start to feel stuck in a rut and you just don't want to deal with whatever it is that's coming your way, look around, and I will lay you odds again that you have just been at your desk the whole time.
Yep.
You haven't gotten up, you haven't had a change of scenery. Tina West from Sarah's Regis, she actually said this at a conference, and it stuck with me. And it was the quote, "You can't manage real estate from behind a desk."
Mm-hmm.
So that came from Tina West with Sarah's Regis. And it resonated with me, because I know my own self. I know how I felt. And I've worked with leasing agents so many times over the years, or so many leasing agents over the years, that when they get up and there's a change of scenery, it is way better for your motivation and your mental health. it's the right kind of disruption for a tough day, because we're actually getting disrupted a lot, right? Phones can be disruptions, email leads
Hmm.
can be disruptions, all those
Hmm.
good things that we want and pay a lot of money for can feel like disruptions. But the kind of disruption I'm talking about is when you're kind of stuck in it and you need to get out and move around. Go walk the property, check on vacants, walk your move-ins. I mean, all those things are part of the job anyway, but you
Yeah.
don't necessarily get a pat on the back when you do them. But
Yeah.
it's really pretty obvious when you don't. So, but aside from that, like aside from the fact that, it's what you're supposed to be doing, it also is really the best way to clear your head and have a positive disruption that puts you back to, back on track to where you need to be. And you learn about the property that way. You meet with the residents, you engage with them. They love to see the folks out and about on the property. Like, I can't even tell you how many of the most like organic conversations happen when, I was running to go walk a move in, and I had these fantastic conversations with my residents, right? Like, I was out of my from behind my desk with that barrier, and we were connected without that barrier. We're
Hmm.
connected out there in Arizona in the sunshine, of course. And it changes the dynamics of that relationship, and part of that sales relationship building is not just with prospects, but it's all the way through the life cycle of the resident too. You want to continue to build that relationship, and also, going out and going into the community, right? Like, what's around there, what employers are around there. That could even be considered a basic sales and leasing 101 kind of mentality, where you go out and you see what employers are in the area, what businesses are in the area, that old outreach marketing mentality. But it really is, they just call it partnerships now.
Right.
We
Right.
just made a fancy term for it. Instead of outreach marketing, it's, let's go out and do some partnerships. And those connections are also critical. And again, it helps with your motivation and your mental preparedness for sales success, being out in the community, seeing what's out there. And there's nothing that makes you feel more confident in your product, which is your property, than when you go and shop the comps.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
go shop the comps, you go drive through their properties, and you are like, oh yeah, I have an amazing property. I have amazing people at my property. I have amazing residents. And it helps you feel more confident in your product, which then helps you more confident in your sales process, which helps you with sales
Yeah.
outcome and
Yeah.
success.
Very cool. Very cool. So for our audience, I want to just help connect the dots here. So a moment ago, we
Yes.
talked about, uh, to me, it's like you sit at your desk, you kind of get in a rut. You kind of like get into a robot mode, and there's just
Yep.
not a whole lot of creativity potentially behind those responses. So you're saying we get up, we get out of our desk, we go out, we do all the things you mentioned, walk the
Yep.
property, do the comps, partnership, all of those things. We come back to our desk, and that aids in our creativity, in our responses. Is that the connecting the dots there, in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. It aids in feeling more connected to your product, and
Okay.
understanding and confident in your product, right? Which then helps you get over things like call reluctance, and helps you with the creative process. And again, remembering that you know how to do the things, they're being taught how to do the things, but why bother do the things? And you're out and about, and you're meeting with residents, and you're looking at your property, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm excited about this, I'm coming back, and I'm gonna, Jonathan, this is why you should live at my property. You know what I mean? Like, you said
Yeah.
you loved this, like, oh my goodness. Maybe while I'm out and about, I do a video. I mean, this is going back to connecting the dots with technology and the personal touch. Videos, there's a study coming out that one video follow up, if they watch that video follow up in the cadence, they leased 40% of the time, versus not sending the video, 10% closing ratios. And that
Mm,
was over 800 properties.
wow.
So be on the lookout for that one. So go out, you get creative, you feel excited, you're more confident, you do that, then you bring that back, like you said, back to your desk, back into that sales process. And ultimately all of those dots connect, you understand that your actions impact the outcome, not just the how, but the why.
I love it. I love it. Look what we've done in like half an hour. Not even a half an hour. I
Woohoo!
don't think yet. We've been on the show together, and there's just so much material here. I can't even begin to imagine the depth that you go into with your classes that you teach. So we've covered a lot, and my summary, here's my takeaways coming away from
Okay.
just the highlights. It's not just the how, it's the why. That's key. That's fundamental. We have to understand the customer journey,
Mhm.
and we need to aid our creativity when it comes to how we respond to our customers, how we respond to our prospects by doing little things, uh, walking the property, visiting the resident, so on and so forth, all the things you mentioned. So lots of micro takeaways, but that's what I came away with from this episode here today, and I love it. Man, it's been a minute since I've had this kind of
Awesome.
conversation about leasing and the prospect journey. So thank you so much. Thank you for being on the show. Did you have fun?
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Jonathan.
Yeah,
I did
it's
have
been
fun. Yeah, I'm
good.
still having fun. If
Good.
it's all about
Good.
the fun, the fundamentals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And from a trainer's perspective, it's like I I love your energy. I absolutely love your energy. So thank you so much for bringing that to the Juvo Hub podcast today. How can people connect with you? Tell us about your website. How
Yeah.
can people best reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. So the website is savvyleading.com. So SAVVY leading.com. And you can see all the different fractional work that I do, as well as the training courses and things that I offer and speaking sessions and stuff like that. And I think the best way I put out a lot of content on LinkedIn. So definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I publish a lot of my, kind of little nuggets and thought leadership things. And I like to share a lot on LinkedIn. So that's the best way to stay connected with me and the different things that I'm talking about. And I talk a lot about sales training, motivation, mental preparedness,
Mm-hmm.
and I also tell a lot of stories about my kids, which they may or may not love, but it always ties back to ties back to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have good nuggets that I can use. They humble
Absolutely.
me, Jonathan.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think I so many life lessons from raising children. Like it's and now having grandchildren. But it's another whole other show. Whole other show. But
Aw.
Stephanie, we got to have you back on. This I know is just a fraction of what you do, but I'm so grateful for what you've brought to our audience to really help them appreciate, get enthused, be enthused about leasing apartments and in some practical ways that we can go about doing that. So thank you for being on the Juvo Hub podcast. We appreciate our Juvo Hub community. We look forward to future episodes. Thank you for being here. Until next time, class dismissed. Take care, everyone.